Hello guys, this is Pokéland Legend Tips with another awesome video, and today we're gonna have a great video about, actually a long awaited video, about the new meta teams as well as the possible swaps that you can actually do for your old meta teams. So we will be discussing about all this right now in this video. So warning, and it's gonna be a long video, but another warning, it's gonna be really worth it. So I really recommend watching and buckling up your seatbelts since it's gonna be a long ride. Okay, so that's done. Now before we move in actually to the real deal, please subscribe to the channel, drop a like. If you have any questions, you can ask us in the comments. Even better, join us in Facebook. We have a nice community there, and the link is in the description below. Okay, some guidelines before we actually start. All these teams can be used in endgame, of course, that's the main purpose, but you can use them as well in mid-game as well as in early game, but some of them cannot be used in early game, and for the main reason that is you need the second abilities to be unlocked for them to be really worth it. And of course we're gonna mention that when we get to it, so don't worry. Okay, so let's start. We will talk about, of course, the first, the normal teams that we have seen in the in the old meta, and we will talk about the possible swaps. So let's start with the usual, I would say, water, ice, the classic team that we usually see everywhere. So of course for water ice, of course the buffer stays the same. That's Kyogre, or even better Kyogre Origin. That would be much better. So this is of course is the usual buffer, and we're not just gonna repeat all what we've stated about the buffers in old videos. You can check the old videos, it's basically still the same. So we're basically just gonna go through the important stuff first, so people won't actually get bored. That's the important part. So of course Arceus, he still can be there with his Ice Plate. That's one of the best Pokemons in the game, and he will still be one of the best Pokemons in the game for years, since he is really versatile. So you can use him as long as you want. For this spot right now, we've seen long time ago that you can use Regi Ice. Now you can use Alolan Ninetales as well. He's pretty nice. He can provide some buff as well. So if this is of course not a SS team, but it's a possible swap from the usual Arceus Ice. You can as well use the Pseudo, of course, Pseudo Ice team with Celebi, or you can even make it a water team by just changing this into a water plate. So this is the possible swaps. You can of course remove Celebi and put the new Pokemon Volcanion. So if you don't know Volcanion, let's just give me a second, let me show you. So this is Volcanion. He's pretty okay. I mean, he has decent damage. He has good skills. You can use him, but he's not that great. But you can still use him in end game. He will do just fine. So this is of course the Ice team. I would say BNV is still as powerful as before, even though there is a huge rise in Fairy teams. So if you have BNV, then you might want to start to fix the build of BNV. We're gonna release a special video on how to actually build BNV so you can counter the new teams, because it might be dropping to a lower tier team because of the new update Pokemons. So yeah, this is White Kyurem, Black Kyurem. I don't have him yet, but you can put Black Kyurem here, and this is the best Ice team that you can have in the game so far. Of course, there is weakest ice teams, such as that include Palkia, of course, Water, Regi Ice, Manaphy, Mega Abuma Snow, Articuno, but those those are not that great in endgame. You can use them in mid game until you form your main endgame team, which should be either BNV or Arceus with some other spot here like Celebi or whatever. Or Regi Ice or something like that, or Volcanion. So those might be the best possible swaps for water and ice. Okay, now let's move to Electric, the fan favorite. This is, again, Electric is one of the, I would say, very, very strong team since they don't have a lot of weaknesses yet. So electric is basically the main buffer is still Coco, so you can't change that. There is some new some new Pokemons that can be actually added here. So I used to use, of course, a pseudo electric with Celebi, which works pretty fine. A lot of people actually prefer to use Tundrus, but I would actually say that I actually just inherited him to my Genius Act. So yeah, Tundrus is not that great lately, especially that a lot of people are actually using Celebi in their teams, or even just using the heal medal, which makes his chaos just useless. And he's pretty, I mean, doesn't have a lot of damage, so he's losing his touch in the electric team. That's why a lot of people are actually preferring to move from this into some other teams, such as putting Ash Pika here. So I'm just gonna put Pikachu instead, because that's the only Pokemon that I actually have. So you can use Ash Pikachu, not this one, Ash Pikachu here. This is gonna be a SS team, one of the greatest in the game. You can of course change if you gotta move Arceus from here. If you need another damager and you cannot use Arceus, you can put other Pokemons, and I would actually recommend some of them which are of. Wait a second, I think I have one here. Where is he? He's a bug type. His Vigavolt. So this is Grubbin, and his last evolution is Vikavolt. I think this guy name is Vikavolt if I'm not mistaken, and he has some nice skills. He has great damage. You can see that his skill power is 225. That's a lot, and of course he gets buffed as well using the Coco Terran. You can see that if Tapo Coco Terran is already here, he recovers all his rage, and if recover all his rage, he can release this thing again. So you just have to increase his accuracy by using, of course, Wide Lens, and he can just form a huge team with Coco, Ash Pikachu, and Cook, and of course this guy. So he increases as well special attack, and if he increases special attack with this special Zap Cannon ulti, this is just awesome Pokemon. So I wouldn't actually recommend to use him from the start. Arceus is still doing a better job in there, so this Arceus might still be of use in the electric team with Ash Pikachu. That would be really good team, and Ash Pikachu will be the main reason why BNV is gonna be dropping soon enough from SS team into a lower tier team. So this is of course the main electric team. You can use other Pokemons such as Xurkitree, Raikou, I would say Tundrus, and you can just experiment with that in here. But of course this is the best SS team, the best team for electric teams right now. For non-VIP players that don't have, I would say, I would not say non-VIP, but I would say for early game teams, you can use actually, I would say, not a great team, but still manage it. It will still manage a lot of. Since if you want to start, I would say if you want to start in a new server and you need for an electric team, this might actually work. So this might be a good team to start with. Jolteon and Aurelian Raichu. Aurelian Raichu is basically a cheap version of Ash Pikachu. So I would recommend that this team might be good as well in early game while waiting to get, of course, your end game team. So I think this is all the Pokemons that have been added into electric right now. So we're gonna move, of course, to another type team, which is Flying. So Flying again, Flying is basically the same. We have the same buffer. Where is he? I don't have him actually, so I'm just gonna pretend to use Tornadus instead of. So this is Tundrus, but the main buffer for Flying team is Tornadus. So Tornadus will still be over powerful in this game. They will not, of course, they have not introduced his Therian form yet, because if they do, he's just gonna be too powerful. So Tornadus, which is this, if you don't know who's Tornadus guy, I'm still waiting for his personality to change, and it has been like years now. Let's just refresh it, just for the sake of it. I don't think he does actually like me. Modest. His best personality is timid. So, what? Anyways, so yeah, Tornadus is basically the best in here. So just imagine that Tornadus is here instead of Tundrus. That's the main buffer, of course. Reikyu is a must, of course. Again, you can't actually change a Reikyu position. So Reikyu is a must. You must have him here. But now we have some additions into the flying team. So usually we used to use Ho-Ho. This is still relevant, but with the rise of Fairy Team, this will become a little bit more difficult to play. So what I would recommend is to remove Ho-Ho and to put Celestia. So Celestia will be the new star of the flying team. She is steel. She really can do great damage using her skills, especially her passive that will decrease her speed, but will increase her attack by 20%. So if she can manage to do this 150 crit ulti, then she's just super powerful. So you might want you to use her here as a semi tank. I would say you can use her in the middle as a semi tank. And where is she again? So she's flying. So you can use her in the middle as a semi tank, and you can use, of course, Tornadus in as a buffer on the side. So this will be actually the main flying team later on. So Ho-Ho will lose his status in the flying team, mainly because he's not that great against Fairy, which is on the rise. So this is of course the best flying team right there. But I would say if you want to, of course, have another teams and possible swaps, if you don't have these, you can use Yiftal, even though again Fairy Team will still be really OP. You can use Yiftal. He does basically the same job as Reikyu, so you can use Yiftal here. And you can use Ho-Ho if you still don't have Celestia. You can use Lugia if you don't have Celestia. And of course Shaymin and whatever Kartana is flying as well. So as long as you have, of course, you can use even Tundrus with Tornadus and I don't know, Yiftal. So these are possible swaps. It's not a great teams, but it still will do the job in mid game. Okay, so we've talked about flying. So right now let's talk about let's see, what do we have? Fair teams. Okay, let's talk about fair teams. So fair teams are basically gonna stay the same. Of course, a lot of this fair team is a huge debate. A lot of people don't know what to choose actually. So all of them are really strong. So that's the thing. So Xerneas is, I hate this name. Xerneas is still super needed in Fae, since he makes Fenny just too powerful. Diancie is super powerful as well. So this is the classic Fae team. Right now you might want to either change this guy Xerneas into Arceus Fairy mode. This will become a really strong team, and the main reason is the Fairy plates of Arceus will give him a passive which increased speed, and that's just really powerful for the Fairy team. You can of course change Diancie as well if you don't have her to Coco. These teams will definitely not suffer. I mean, you still have a really powerful team, even if it's not 100%, the buffs are not 100% working, but it's still really powerful team. So you can basically just use any swap you want with the Fairy team. They will still be really powerful. You can use Lele, you can use Diancie, you can use Xerneas. It doesn't really matter. It will still be a powerful team as long as you have the main buffer, which is Tapu Fini. So this is basically of course, the Fairy team. Some might like Mimikyu in Fairy. I don't actually like him. In Fairy, there is a lot of Fairy Pokemons right now, and Mimikyu will have his job in the Ghost teams that we will see later. Possible swaps for Fairy team, I would say Mimikyu early game and mid game for Fairy if you have Finny in the beginning. Mega Altair, she's okay. I mean, she's not great, but in mid game and early game she will do. Mawile, of course, she will do as well with her with her debuffs and with her poison. She will do, of course, in early and mid game as well, but later you would definitely have to change into the best possible swaps that we have just included. So the ground team, guys, let's go and talk about the ground team. So ground team, again, it didn't much change. We still have Groudon there, and Origin Groudon. He as a main buffer. Of course, since the last time, they have a lot of stuff have changed. So right now you can change Arceus into ground form and use him. This will still be a powerful team. You can use Ho-Ho as well in here to provide a little bit of support. This will make it won't make a ground team, but it works semi-ground team. You can use, of course, Ziggurat 100%. This will make a really strong team again, and it will be just great against Ice and BNV. But since Ziggurat can be used in support, you can see here that Ziggurat can be used in support. I would recommend to use him in the ground team. You can just use him in the as a support Pokemon. You can use here either Celebi for a Pseudo. You can use Ho-Ho as well for, I would say, for you can use Steelix. Actually, you can use Mega Steelix as well. This Pokemon is really super powerful. He's getting flashed as well, so you can use him as well for a really tanky team and really strong team, that if you don't manage to kill after 2-3 rounds and one shot Steelix, he will become super powerful and you'll probably lose. You can use Ho-Ho, as I said. He's flying. You can use Ho-Ho here. It will still be fine. It's semi-fire. It's a mix between fire and ground team. You can use Victini as well. Semi-gun ground fire team. This is alternations between both. You can even use Volcanion. So yes, you can use Volcanion. He's here, wait a second. I think I already showed you Volcanion today. I'm just going to show it to you again. So you can use Volcanion in a fire, semi-fire ground team. So this is basically swaps between fire and ground teams that you can use. Has there been any changes in terms of other Pokemon that you can use? Yes, there have been, but you should not actually use them. There will be better teams that you can use those with. So this is pretty much it right now for this ground team. In early game and mid game, you can still use Charizard X, Y, Regirock, Reshiram, Landorus, Mega Garchomp, Mega Blaziken, and of course these will all fit in the ground fire team if you have Groudon, of course. So now that we have talked about the fire team, I would actually move into the grass team. So grass team, again, it's basically the same as last time. Bulu is still there. Arceus is still can change into his grass plate. Where is it? Middle plate, yes. So this is Arceus. It can still change this and of course for the third spot you can use Celebi. So this is a good team. You can use Kartana here. You can use there's actually a lot of Pokemon that you can use in grass. You can use Shaman. We already talked about this. You can even use in early game. Of course, now we're gonna be talking about the swaps. You can be used in early game. Executor. He's Executor, right? Yeah, Executor. He's a grass psychic Pokemon. He's decent. I mean, with his sleeping abilities and so on, he's kind of decent in early game and mid game. So this is the kind of possible swaps that you can actually use in here. I would. A lot of people might ask, is grass team really relevant right now in the meta? I would say with Bulu, it's still really relevant. It can make a lot of damage to a lot of great teams out there. So right now, this is basically the possible swaps in grass team. Nothing has changed a lot. We will move into better teams, which is the Psy team. So Psy team, actually this is gonna be a huge topic. So Psychic team, again, Lele is a must in there. She's the core. You can't basically have a Psychic team without Lele in endgame. Right now the other sport are the question. Of course, what I'm trying to do right now is talk about the possible swaps. I'm gonna talk about the new meta teams after this. but right now the possible swaps that you can use in Psychic are kind of a lot. So if we just change here to Psychic, you will see that we have a lot of Pokemons. So you have Joxes, of course. You still have Celebi, this will work. You have Meloetta, this will work. You, of course, have Solgaleo, this will work. If you put Lunala here, this will definitely work. So all these Pokemons will work. You can check the Psy Team review that we already did. It's still on the old update, but it's still relevant. So the Psy Team is really strong. But again, with the Ghost Team out there, it's gonna be a little bit difficult for the Psy Team if you don't catch up real fast to the new trends. So the new Pokemons that have been added into the Psy Team are really, really strong. And I'm talking about here Azelf, Mesprit, and of course Yuxi. So this is the base, the main Pokemons that have been added into the Psy Team. And to make the Psy Team really super powerful, you can just put Yuxi there, and that's it. You put Lele, Yuxi, and Joxes, and you just have a SS team in this meta. But of course, some might actually say that Ghost Team is becoming more strong and it will just wreck Psy Team, and that is true. That's why we have prepared so many new update Pokemons that you can actually check right now. So there is Pseudo Psy Teams. So right now this is a Pseudo Psy Teams with Joxes here in attack form, actually. So you need to put Joxes in your attack form, and you need to put Ho-Ho here. So where is Ho-Ho? Somewhere here. And in the third position, you will need to put Mesprit. Yes, it might sound weird, and there is no Lele in it, but this team will still do a lot of damage. The main reason behind this is that Mesprit will sacrifice her own HP, and it will give rage to the Pokemons here. And since we all know how much powerful is the ulti of Joxes here, he will just become amazingly strong. And why are we using Ho-Ho here instead of Lele? The main reason is Lele will of course buff both, but she will not prevent Mesprit from dying. Ho-Ho will actually prevent Mesprit from dying, since she gives her HP, half of HP. She sacrificed half of HP, so she basically is suicidal Pokemon. So yeah, that would definitely be a difficult situation if she dies. But again, she still have AoE to break shields, as well as if you can equip it in end game. Of course, now we are talking about end game. If you can equip it with Ho-Ho accessory set, which will prevent her from dying once, then this will become one of the most one of the hardest team to kill out there, since it provides huge damage using Joxes, and it might just kill you before you even move. So this is one. Now we will talk about the really, I would say, other psychic teams, but that are really expensive. Now, Hoopa Unbound, I would not actually mention him a lot, since only 1 or 2 guys will get him. So that's not enough for us to actually mention him. So if you put Hoopa in any team and he's unbound, you just don't really need a meta team to make him really strong. But if you are asking, he will do just great in any team, and especially with Mesprit and Cresselia. If you put him with Lele and Joxes, if you put him with Lele and Mesprit and Yuxi, he will just, I mean, I feel that Hoopa Unbound will just do great in any team. So that's one. So for the bounded one, there will be, of course, different teams for him. Since he's Ghost, he can fit in the Ghost team that we're gonna mention later. So there is a lot of discussion on where to put Hoopa bounded, but again, he will fit as well nicely in the Psychic team with Yuxi and Lele, or with Joxes and Lele. He will do just fine. So this is the possible swaps. Of course, right now there will be possible swaps in the Psy team using Mewtwo X, which of course many have ignored so far, and for the main reason, I'm gonna just put him here as a Mewtwo Y, but this is Mewtwo X, guys. I mean, this Pokemon is really strong. He makes the top 5 strongest Pokemon in the game. but the problem is that his passive will still buff from the enemy. This is it's still buff from the enemy, but the problem is that he's still buff from himself. So he might be really strong, but again, your other teammates need to be as strong as him to be able to keep up. So a lot of people are trying to use him right now, but again, I still feel that he will do just fine in a side team. But again, as I mentioned, your team must of course revolve around Mewtwo X in order to be very I would say efficient. Again, the Psy team is just I mean, it's just a mess. There is so many good Pokemons that you can use, and you can't go wrong if you go Psy. Of course, there will be a lot of problems right now with upcoming with the new Pokemons and new meta, but still it will still be relevant. It still be one of the top 3 teams or 4 teams in the game, and it's really helpful in clearing dungeons, adventure, and so on. Now let's talk about the Lake of Guardians team, which is called destructive or explosive team. So this, of course, I don't have them at all, so you just have to put them all here with, of course, a better support, which is Mewtwo Y. So if you want end game team that is really strong and might kill any possible team out there, and you can check that their skills, of course, to see that I'm right, is actually just putting these 3 little fairies here, these 3 little girls or boys, I really don't know what they are, in one team. So you put Mesprit, Azelf, and Yuxi with a lot of healing and hopefully a Ho-Ho set as well, so that you provide them from dying. Of course, with the damage that they will provide each time, it will be probably, there is no Pokemons that actually can survive that damage. They provide huge damage, and you can check their skills here. It's like super powerful when they actually die. This is Yuxi, so she does not die. You can see here that if they die, if you put, for example, Aftermath in Yuxi and she dies, then she provides a huge damage. You can see here that the explosion for Azelf is 260. Just imagine that she has a Ho-Ho set and she just explodes, and with the 260 hit rates, then that's just amazing. And if they all die and they do that, then yeah, there's just gonna be team that will be really powerful. And of course, if one of them die, then that's the job of Mewtwo Y to actually provide support to them with his skills. So this is gonna be one of the most important teams out there if you can manage to get them all in one team. So of course there is pseudo-destructive teams where you put Mesprit, Azelf, and Lele instead of Yuxi. So you can put Lele, of course, as well in there, and you can put as well other Pokemons such as of course Mewtwo X if you don't have Lele or if you don't have Yuxi. So you can still put possible swaps from the Psy team. That won't do any problem. So I think this covers it for the Psy team right now. Let's move to one of the new teams out there that will revolve around Genesect. So Genesect, I believe, is one of the strongest Pokemon right now in the game, and mainly because he uses both P attack and special attack in his attacks. All of his attacks are P attack and special attack, you can see here. So your defense needs to be really good. So if you are facing special attack monsters, usually the P defense is really bad. So with this guy, you basically take advantage of that. If you are meeting P attack monsters, then usually special defense is really bad. So this guy take that into consideration and just is too OP. Of course, a lot of people will ask which play to use. We're going to do a special video on that later on. But now we're just going to include the possible Pokemons that you can use in Bug Team. Bug Team will become a really important team as well in this meta. You can use Insect Arceus, and I already actually published one of this video about him. This is a pseudo bug team and it just works fine. It works really good. It can take down 1.5 million higher teams than them. You can, of course, the best possible team swap would be to use Buzzwole this guy is just super OP. If you didn't know, why is because basically in after 2-3 game, if you don't, if the team, the opposite team doesn't have a healer such as Celebi, and they heal a lot, then they will probably die. This guy will change the whole game of the builds of the Pokemons. But since there is only one guy that can do this right now in this game, then a lot of people will not actually change the builds, but it will still be really powerful. So I am personally going for a Bug team. So this guy is just super powerful. If you're gonna use Arceus in Yufei, for example, or in other places, here you can either put Lele. This is a pseudo Bug team. So Lele will be actually, this is one of the best meta in Chinese. Lele is really strong in this team because she basically let them move twice or 2 times, and with Genesect passives that will improve his attacks by 5% every time he moves. He uses a Bug type Pokemon. Every time he attacks, of course, for Bug type after the attack for 5 rounds. You see, every time a Pokemon attacks, he will increase the P attack and special attack by 5%, which means he will get a 10% increase of attack each move, and that goes to 5 rounds, which is a 50% attack. And with his Fury, if he managed to kill an enemy, he will get instant rage. And if you equip him like I do with Maxi, which will give him a 15% boost after he defeated an enemy. So if this guy defeats an enemy, he will get a 15% boost. Then if he attacks 5 times, then of course it will give him a 50% attack boost. And if he gets rage, then this skill is 95 and it does both P attack and special attack damage. He will just be too powerful. So yeah, Lele is one of the possible swaps that you can use. If you still want to use a solely Bug team, you can use Famosa here. Yes, Famosa, she will become relevant in this meta as well. She's just super powerful as well. She increased her own special attack. This is just a Bug, guys. She has decent damage as well. So yeah, she's fighting. You can put her in fighting team as well, but in Bug she will just do great. So the Bug team will be relevant in this meta as well. So right now, let's talk. Of course, if you don't have these, you still can use other Pokemon, such as there is a lot of Bug Pokemon in here, Larvesta, which can provide huge damage as well. You can use Grubbin or Vikavolt in his final form as well. He will do fine. And in MR, you can use Axelogo with Arceus and Genesect. This will provide huge damage every time. I'm actually at 2.something billion per round right now with this team, and I think I already did a video, or I will do a video about it soon. So right now, this is the meta for Bug teams. Let's move into Ghost teams. So Ghost teams, of course, with the introduction of Giratina Origin, will become really super powerful. It will become the main, I would say, it will become the main VIP Zero team free to play. Since Giratina Origin, we all get a modest Giratina from the dungeons, which is cool. So you can basically evolve him really easy using 60. It's gonna cost you 6.9k, I think, as usual from the package, or 9k from the VIP store. So you can move him into a Giratina Origin, which will be super powerful. He increased self special attack by 5%. He has dragon types. He will buff dragon and all friendly Pokemons, skill by 100%, special defense by 50, and will give curse body in random for 3 rounds, of course. And then he will also buff dragon types in particular as well. So Giratina Origin will become a super powerful monster in Ghost team. So if you have them, the best team would be Hoopa here and Mimikyu here, so that Hoopa, of course, bounded. I'm not even gonna talk about the unbounded because the unbounded is just too OP. So bounded Mimikyu will be he. Where's Mimikyu? His Ghost. So Mimikyu is he, and we said, who did we say actually? Mimikyu and Hoopa. Yeah, Hoopa. But since we don't have Hoopa, the second best swap that you can put for instead of Hoopa is actually Mega Banette. So Mega Banette is gonna become really powerful as well in this meta. So this team will be actually, you should put Mimikyu here instead of Giratina Origin, since he will be the main tank of this team. So this team will wreck a lot of SS tier teams out there, as well as you can change Mega Banette with Lunala if you